Hello everybody and welcome to the fifth round of the Tail Racing Ring Runners in Season 11. We've got perhaps our most popular car yet that we are taking to the Northside VLN layout this time round. It is of course the GT4's that we always get such a great entry for. 17 drivers ready to go here for round number 5. And it's myself, Ewan O'Leary, I'm James Parfitt with you for the action as always. Let's have a look at the championship standings coming into this one because we've had 4 rounds now, and with last week's victory. We'll go to
No, it's fine. Standings is fine.
We'll go for the standings first. 2 points is the advantage for Ewan Crowd after his win last week ahead of Dean Diltz and Dave Mull. That's actually the order they finished on the podium in the mini stocks. Corey Stas wasn't there, and so he will take the drop week for that week, of course, in the future. He is back today. Dan Kosick rounds out the top 5 with Dave Hernandez then in 6th place. Pat Mish and Matt Gray next involved, then Logan McKinsey, who's only been at 1 round, although he wasn't the podium for it, and then the rest of them who are only here for 1 round so far this season. Scott Sadler is leading the AM class, and he's continuing to extend his advantage now. 28 points is his current gap, with Stephen Johnson giving chase. Anthony Solomon as well as Matt Van Hoorde are also quite close. So Guillermo Perret in 5th, and then those who have only been at 1 round or so further back. But as I've said, we have got a bigger field this time and a lot more AMs. So Jason Hightower has taken the pole. 6 seconds is advantage over Corey Stas, which could be difficult to overhaul. Dean Diltz and Dan Kosick are on row 2, with Matt Green, Dave Hernandez on row 3. Pat Mace is in 7th place. Matt Van Hoorn has taken the pole in the AM class, just ahead of Tim Watchout, John Amico and Christopher Herring. Most of those drivers, other than Van Hoorn, have not been here very much this season so far. Evan Crowder didn't get a lap in qualifying, neither did Dave Mull. So that's a difficult one for them. Both top 3 in the championship. Going to be needing to make progress. Anthony Solomon is 14th, although he's still not gridded up yet. And I think he's missed the start. So he might not be racing. We'll see. That will move up the likes of Stephen Johnson, Guillermo Perret, and Chase Petterjohn at the back end of the field. But as I say, Solomon at the pit lane, it looks like he is in the server, though. So hopefully he will race. If not, though, at least 16 drivers in the field. And as I say, this is one of the most popular combinations. It's great to see a big entry for it once again, the GT4's. We've got BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, Aston Martin, McLaren all represented. This is what we always get from the GT4 racing. It's why we include it in pretty much every season that we have here.
Yeah, going to be looking forward to this one. Going to see how they get on. I'm a little bit worried that the return of Jason Hightower is going to take pole by 6 seconds. So, hopefully he doesn't take the win by 6 seconds, but you'd never quite know. So this is going to be an exciting one and an interesting one to see how these guys get on. But, they have got that stadium section to continue with, so we'll find out how they get on here as well. But Hightower Stas at the top of the order, that should be a fun battle if they can stay together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a question of whether they will. And we were talking before the broadcast about Jason Hightower's championship aspirations this time round. Don't forget, he won the championship last season by a pretty big 20 points. Maybe that makes it seem closer than it actually was in the season. But he dominated last season. If he comes back here and goes on a run like he did last season, then maybe he can win it again, even from here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got to win every single one, though, I think, would be giving him a rough idea. So we'll have to find out how he's going to get on, of course, if he's going to turn up for the others that we've got coming up. That should be an interesting one at the same time. We've got the LMP1, the Porsche Cup, MX5 Skippies, Radicals at Ferrari Challenge, and then, of course, Duck Week. So we'll find out what goes on with that.
Absolutely. He won 5 on the bout to start last season. He's not been at the first 4 this time round. Can he win round 5 for a second week in a row? Second season in a row, I should say. As the drivers now pull up to the start-finish line at the start of 4 laps this afternoon. They're going to be getting underway very shortly, as the green flag now does wave and Jason Hightower gets them underway down in towards turn 1. Corey Stas starts right alongside, but it's Hightower with his nose in front down the way towards turn number 1, and look at Dean Diltz challenging Stas there as well. It's Dan Kosick next in line in the green at Mercedes, who's challenging as well. We're on the VLN layout here, so we will take in the Mercedes arena, and it's a Mercedes that leads them, Jason Hightower, pretty comfortably.
Yeah, he got out in front. The question is, how is he going to get stopped? That's the problem. Is he going to be stopped here? That's even more the issue, because now, as we've seen from his qualifying time, he's going to escape. It does look like Chase Petterjohn's had some form of drama. He's down the back end of the order after having an incident. Sonneman is out on the road. Tim Watchow just been passed by Evan Krautfeld. Krautfeld on a bit of a march. He's got Matt Van Horn next at the same time, who is going to go round the outside of, and well done for him on that outside, on that run now up into Warsteiner.
That was very well done from Krautfeld through on Matt Van Horn. So he moves into 8th now, does Evan Krautfeld, already making progress, and now he's into the pros. Of course, the point system here in this series means that any position gained is points gained, and that is what Krautfeld just managed. As Matt Van Horn's gone off through the Grand Prix section, just coming out of the right-hander there at what's normally turn 11 when you're on the full layout. He's got it, and he looks like he's missing his front end there, actually, from what that looked like. And that is a real shame for Matt Van Horn, who was taking on an early lead there. He's let that go away immediately, and now it is Tim Watchow at the front.
Yeah, he's gone straight back into pit lane, so we'll catch up with what he did at the end. Hernandez and Krautfeld are having a nice little ding-dong. Krautfeld's just gone through again, so that's another one here at the same time that Krautfeld's going to get. Hernandez not quite giving it up in through Kashishin at the moment, and Hernandez does make it through, or through the Hatzenbeck, I should say, and then Hernandez makes it through. So, sorry, Krautfeld makes it through, so Hernandez is going to tuck in right behind him. But Corey Stas, Hightower opening up a 1.1 second gap over Dean Diltz at the moment, who's in behind him. So we're going to find out if these two are going to break away and whether or not Diltz is going to get back. Of course, draft dependent, but these cars aren't the most aerodynamic. So it's probably going to be within about that 2.5, 2/10 mark that we think is going to make a difference.
Yeah, if he can just stay there, Corey Stas, then he might just get that get that little bit of a help from the draft that will just pull him along. But can he stay there? He's just within half a second at the moment. Dean Diltz is within a second as well there in the Porsche Cayman. And now into Schwedenkreuz they go. He's got a big lead though over the rest of the field. And Krautfeld has got, I would say, he's a shoo-in for 4th already. Whether he can catch these 3, I'm not sure. But I think even at this early stage, it's easy to say that Krautfeld is going to finish there. 5 places gained already. That's just on the Grand Prix layout. And the early part of the north side, Pat Mesh is next. And he's pretty close to Pat Mesh as well. Look at this for Evan Krautfeld down the Fuchs Road now in towards Adnar Forst. You can see Mesh already pulling to the right-hand side there, as if to say, you might want to go on past. Not quite for the moment. He's not quite close enough at the top of the hill.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to get it into Adnar Forest. We go through the right-hander. It's going to be hard on the brakes. Now through that left-hander. Take a little bit of curb if you're brave enough on the exit. He's not quite there at the moment, but he has got a good run. He's now got that inside line out of Adnar Forest here at the same time, down to Mexconville. Is he going to be able to get through? That's going to be the question. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it this time around. Where is he going to make it from here onwards, though? Because it's going to be very difficult indeed.
This is where it gets difficult now on the north side. But he's got even a good run out of Meskersfeld there, down into Callenhard if he wants to break late, but not really a long straight preceding that, which makes it a bit more tricky. Now in towards the little chicane before miss hit miss, and that's a bit of a wonky line from Mesh. Side by side through here, and he's going to go. Oh wow, he very nearly ended up in the wall. Pat Mesh had his left-hand side tyres there in the grass. If he'd have gone straight on, he would have gone in the fence pretty quickly there, as you do generally around this circuit, but he gets away with it. Evan Krautfeld, though, is up to 6th.
Yeah, Guillermo Perez unfortunately had some issues. He's dropped down the order. You can see his car looks broke. So unfortunately for Guillermo, big left-hand down moment at the same time. So again, another one will catch up at the end here. But Dave Moll is sitting in front of Stephen Johnson, who's of course sitting trying to get ahead of Scott Sadler. Sadler's not here this week. So that's going to be points he's going to pull on in with Tim Watchow at the same time. But here's now Evan Krautfeld in behind Dan Kosick through the right-hander of Bergberg. On the run up now through Keshishin, coming into the carousel. Is Krautfeld going to claim another scalp? Is this going to be scalp number 7? And we're not even at the end of the first lap.
Worth saying that it's his worst result of 8th place for Scott Sadler, so that's effectively what would be added to his score if indeed this is taken as drop round, which it will have to be. So, you know, if they want to gain points, they want to be in the top 8 at least here today. Crap, meantime, not able to get anywhere near Kosick at the top of the hill there for 5th position. A little bit wide into the grass, just dips a couple of wheels over there. And Kosick will keep the top 5 place as a result. But look at the gap that's creeping out now in front of Matt Green, who's gotten past Dan Kosick on this opening lap, by the way. They qualified the other way round. 4 and a bit seconds there. That is a big, big advantage. And I think, as I said earlier, Cartwright is going to get to 4th. I'm pretty confident in that. But how much else can he get from here? Catching those front 3 is going to be a big, big task, especially when you consider the deficit he's going to start with as he gets a good run off the corner and up into the top 5 now.
Yeah, Crawford moves forward. Is he going to get 4.5 seconds on Green? That's going to be the question. What's Green going to be able to do? And is Green going to be able to stay in front of him? Well, we're going to find out very, very shortly. Of course, once again, through the right-hander we go. Crawford's, ran the grass there. Managed to hold on to the car. Great job from him. Dave Hernandez in behind Pat Messick. I don't know. Whichever way it is, Pat, let me know on that one. And then we've got Chris Heron, who's got his own group behind him of Tim Watchow right the way down to Stephen Johnson, who's tucked in behind Mr. Mole at the moment. Guillermo Paré straight back into pit lane. He's done something again, but of course he was suffering from earlier damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And that bit of left-hand down has finally seen him into the pit lane, taking on a rather long tow, although not as long as Matt Van Horn's, who is still there and will be there for another 3 minutes, I would say, at least. And that's before he's even thought about damage. This is Stephen Johnson, and this is the battle of the race, isn't it? Heron versus Watchow at the front for the class lead. Dave Mull is, he wants to get out of this situation as quickly as possible, but he can't, just for the moment. And then we've got Stephen Johnson on the podium. Matt Green, meanwhile, loses out to Evan Carter, who makes a nice and easy pass down through the Stefan Belofez. Johnson trying to do the same. He looks left and right and can't do it. This is going to be a big battle on the back straight, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely will be. But where's he going to be able to go there? I do wonder whether or not Matt Green made a mistake on that overtake due to the fact that that was a 4.5 second gap. Now, either Crautfield's extremely fast or Green has made some kind of boo-boo, because lose 4.5 seconds through a few corners. We'll have a look back and see the overtake and see if there was an error from Matt Green. But this is a great little battle at the moment. Johnson, Mole, Watchow, Heron. And we're going to find out how they're going to get on down the Dottingham here as well, because at the moment this is the closest battle on the circuit.
Yeah, by the way, I don't think that was 4.5 seconds of a gap. He has lost a bit of time, but I don't think it was a mistake or anything. I think Crowad has just passed him normally, to be honest, but we will find out later. Johnson now taking the maybe unorthodox decision to push Dave Mull. I think he almost wants the pro driver out of this, because he is quicker, Mull, on a normal day, but he's just stuck at the moment, and Johnson doesn't want him to be part of this any longer. Now it's the double slipstream as Watchow goes through on Heron pretty easily. Can Mull also get through on Heron? He can. So Johnson is making this work, and he gets pulled in front of there. He'll be fine with that, Stephen Johnson, because he'll still be involved in the leading battle here with Heron and with Watchow as well, but he wants Dave Mull to get out of this, and Dave Mull has indeed moved up to the top 10 now.
Yeah, but how much further is Mull going to be able to go? He'll get Watchow, but will he break into the Hernandez-Missick battle before they get to the end of the race? That's going to be the question, and whether or not he can actually get there. You can see the guy starting to spread out a little bit. Dan Kosick start losing time. Well, he's actually gained time on Green, so I do wonder if Green's had a problem. Doesn't look like he's broke, but that overtake went very quickly, and now he's got Kosick tucked in behind him. So maybe that Porsche is a little bit sluggish somewhere that's causing him problems. It could be on the straight, it could be with aero, of course, open setups. So it depends on what setup they've put on. But Stephen Johnson at the moment, it's just gone and
goes
done that.
Around. Yeah, that's the Mercedes Arena, and that was a bit of a clumsy one between the two of them. Petterjohn goes through. John Amico also goes through. John Amico taking part in his second race, of the season, but finished down in 15th in the first one. He has now moved up to 13th so far in this. Guillermo Paré, by the way, has given up the ghost. He is out of the race. Matt Van Horn might be as well. I'm not actually sure at the moment. But they both look pretty done there down on pit lane, unfortunately. Heron will continue but yeah, he will lose all of those places at the moment, and that is a big shame for him, because yeah, he was battling for the lead not so long ago. Now Tim Watchow has got the lead in the outclass. It's a pretty large lead as well. Dave Mull wants to get through, but can't quite do it as they go onto the Nordschleife now.
Now the question will be is, if you are Watchow, will you let Mull through, or will you fight him?
I think you've probably, well, you know, don't pull over to the side of the circuit. That'll cost you time. But I think if Mull attacks you, then yeah, you probably should just pull over. Well, not pull over, sorry, as I said. But yeah, just let him go, really, if he starts to pull alongside and so on. For now, though, you know, I think he's fine keeping him where he is if he's not really challenging very much.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're right. If Mull isn't closing in, which he's going to now, you can see the draft kicking in around about that 3.5 tenth mark, 3.4, 3.3. It's not coming down rapidly. Now it starts to decrease. Mull through the right-hander. Is he going to be able to make this 2.5 tenths, 2.4, 2.3? It's going to be a close run towards the end here, I think, down into Arenberg.
Look at the straight line speed in the McLaren as well. I think it's a little bit of a bad run for Watchow, but now he's going to back away, surely. Into Schredenkreuz? No, he does want to keep this place. And as I mentioned earlier, this point system is based on an overall scoring position. So 9th versus 10th, whether they're AM versus pros or whatever they are, it is a battle for points. And Tim Watchow does want to keep Dave Mull past. That's the situation there where I would have said, okay, finally, you know, you can go through there, because, you know, you've clearly got a better run. You're clearly faster as well. And we're going to slow each other down by battling too much. But Watchow does not want to let him through.
No, he doesn't at the moment. He's keeping pace on and making Mull work for it, as is Hernandez. He's chasing down Pat Messick here at the same time, and Pat's doing the same job, but Mull just can't clear him at all. He cannot get through on Tim Watchow. I do think this might be a mistake. I do feel that Watchow's probably holding him up a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. It's a bit of a shame for Dave Mull, but, you know, he's got to make the passes. He can't expect the others in different classes to just move over for him. He's got to make the pass, so that's what he will attempt to do here in the next couple of moments. But where are the next opportunities going to come from, really? Those long flat-out runs at the first part of the lap are now behind them. The next one will be up towards the McCurver, but so far on lap 1 anyway, that didn't seem to be a brilliant overtaking chance in the GT4's this time round. We will wait and see what it's like next time, though, as Dave Mull tries to attack. Johnson is catching up as a result of this, by the way. Stephen Johnson in the background. He's now only 2 seconds behind, and maybe Watchow will start to notice that at some point and think, yeah, this battle is actually starting to slow me down.
It's been slowing him down for the first half of lap 2, to be honest. I think Mull needs to dive, and hope for the best. That's the only way he's going to be able to get through. He's got to try and get past him here, Ewan. It is holding him up massively at this moment in time. And he's got to make that move, whether or not that's out the run of Bergberg, going up into through Keshishin and coming into the carousel. He's got to do something, Dave Mull. This is not helping him at all. The guys in front have opened up to 2.2 seconds. And at the moment, it's really out, because Watchow's doing the job he knows he can do, but it ain't helping Mull whatsoever. I got to be honest, Mull's probably sat there pulling his hair out.
Yeah, it probably is. And now maybe he can finally put this one to bed. No, again, at the top of the hill, he can't do it either. There's a half chance there. And Dave Hernandez is in the wall up just up ahead. Or no, well, I think he did scrape along the wall, actually. You can see the tyre tracks there in the grass. He certainly went wide into the grass. Whether he went all the way into the wall, I'm not so sure. But that is Dave Hernandez, 8th place, and he'll be reeled in now. But if Mull had got past Watchow earlier, then he could have been right there with Hernandez here. And a decent result is still not out of the question for Mull, but this is taking a long time.
This is, a chase and a half from Dave Mull at the moment. He's got to, I don't know where he's going to be able to get through now. It's going to be very difficult through here, in through this section, through Whipperman, through Brunchen. Just not easy. He's got to try and carry pace, I think, as soon as he gets out of Brunchen for that run down through Flansgarden and into Galgenkopf. He's got to try and stay with him as much as he can and try and bring him in on the dotting a hoe, but at the moment he needs to be closer. Take that right hand up, through Whipperman we go. Through the other right hander now on that run through Brunchen. He needs to be closer. He's too far back at the moment.
It is. And this is a good run through that final section for Tim Watchout at the moment. Little bit of a missed apex there from Mull. Now in towards Brunchen. And these four effectively are covered by a very small margin at the moment. And yeah, through this section, Watchout has really put the pace on again. Don't know whether it's a manufacturer difference maybe. I think that's probably more driving difference there between Watchout and Mull. But over most of the lap, Dave Mull does look quicker. Now through the higher speed sections, it's where the McLaren always comes alive. McLarens always have in GT3 and GT4 and iRacing, that the higher speed they're going, the faster they are compared to the other manufacturers generally. And now you can see that gap being brought down by quarter of a second or so. As Watchout starts to make some inroads on some of the pros up in front, Mull is also making some inroads on him.
Yeah, he's just not... He ain't close. Mull's giving him opportunities. He's running wide. He did it going down into Carousel. He's just done it then coming up into Kleins. He's got so many opportunities, Mull, if he was closer, but he's just not there. This is going to be hard now because Watchout's going to get a puff of draft from Hernandez, but Mull is going to get the most of it. He's got to clear him here. He has to.
Yeah, he's got to do this now. You'd imagine because he's in the McLaren that he will do, but he can't afford to wait around. Now they start to get up to speed here, and the BMW is pretty quick by the looks of things as well. And it is getting the faintest bit of slipstream from Dave Hernandez there. So has Mull quite got the straight to do this? Dan Kosick passed Green, meanwhile, for fifth place earlier up the road. But look at Mull. Can he get alongside? He's on the right-hand side. And Watchout wanted to keep the left-hand side. He couldn't do it. He was 4 tenths behind. He got a real big slipstream, but he wasn't quick enough. That BMW pretty handy in a straight line as well here. Now Mull's got a better exit out of the Tiergarten and into the front straight as we reach half distance in this GT4 race. Can Mull get down the inside at turn 1 maybe? The very sharp hairpin at the beginning of the lap. He looks to the right and he cannot go through. Well, that is a shame for Dave Mull because he really needed to get past Tim Watchout there and just couldn't.
I agree. Needed desperately. Now, we said about Kraftfield getting to 4th. That's Diltz in 3rd. So Evan is giving himself a opportunity. Maybe Stas is not a million miles away. What was his last lap time? 3:32.67. Stas on a 3:35.72.
So it looks like, 3 seconds after 2 laps, 1.7 in the last lap, 1.3 in the first lap. Roughly he's about 1.5 seconds a lap slower. And I think that's going to be quite difficult to overturn, to be honest, for Stas, unless there's a very unusual mistake from Jason Hightower. I think that's going to be quite difficult to overturn.
I do agree with you, but I do wonder where this is going to go, how far Kraftfield's going to be able to get. It depends on how quickly he can clear Diltz, because you just saw Stas go out the picture. So if he can clear Diltz quicker, Watchout has had some issue, I think.
He must have done, because Dave Mull's through, and so Stephen Johnson up into the top 10. So Tim Watchout now in 2nd place in the AM class. That is unusual, and maybe a mistake to have a look back at after the race. But he's been defending so well. Now he's got to do the overtaking again in the AM class.
Absolutely. We're going to see how he gets on here, but I just want to see if I thought it was going on the grass then. Kraftfield can get Dean Diltz down into Arenberg. He's getting closer. The problem is he's made overtakes on the outside. He's made overtakes on the inside, so it doesn't really matter where Diltz seems to put the car. He can still get overtaken. And I don't know if this is a good idea. I've got to be honest.
see if Dilts goes through with it again. Down the Fuchsrohr in towards the top of the hill at Adnar Forst. It doesn't look quite like it. This is going to be the battle for third place. I think these two are unlikely to get any other positions other than this, with the gaps both ahead and behind of them. This is Green versus Kosick as well for 5th position in the field. And then there's a big gap back to Pat Mace, then Hernandez, Mull, Johnson. Tim Warchow not too far away either. So what can Stephen Johnson do? Can he put some pros in between himself and Warchow to seal this victory? Or you'd imagine Mull is going to defend from him pretty hard because he's worked hard for this 9th place.
Yeah, he did. Stephen Johnson and Dave Mull, you know, has taken a couple of laps to get past Warchow. It looks like he made a mistake to allow him through. But now it's got to be what Johnson's going to do here. Johnson's either got to look at this in the bigger picture and say, right, I don't really need to fight this. I really do not need to. Mull is quick. I can stick with him and stay behind him here as well, because Mull's pulling him into Hernandez, which is what we expected. So from Johnson's point of view, does he really need to go for this? Does he really need to make that move?
Probably not is the answer, but he would still like to. So we'll see whether he does. As we saw on the back straight last time round, the BMW is very strong in a straight line, so he might have a chance here when he's got the slipstream. And there are 3 pros in front who he could all take points off. As I mentioned earlier on, Scott Sadler's worst finish so far in an overall place has been 8th position, which means that even if Johnson wins the class right now, he would still not be gaining points on Scott Sadler, who, alongside those 23 points for 8th place in the TCRs, he also got 3 bonus points that day because he finished the race, first of all, 1 bonus point, but also finished in 2nd place in the AM class, which is 2 bonus points. So he's technically losing out, really, as Johnson, by a point as things stand, with Scott Sadler not here. So let's see what he does here by the end of this straight.
Yeah, he's either got to make that move or he's got to stay there. I don't think half-hearted is going to help him here. Dan Kosick, however, has just closed up onto Matt Green. I don't think he's close enough at this moment in time coming up into the carousel section. I think that's going to be where Dan Kosick's going to be. Mull is literally looming on Hernandez. Now, the question is what has Hernandez got in form of defense? He's been staring at the back end of Pat Messick for absolutely ages, as Dave Hernandez. It seems like he's been there for the whole race. So is he going to be there again, just staring at the back? It is Mull going to make an opportunity and take that opportunity away.
Let's see as they go into the carousel. That long run up the hill there was nothing doing this time round for these 4. Make sure you get into the carousel. Oh, Hernandez very nearly just slipped out there onto the flat part at the top of the corner, but he just about survives. And then next in line, Mull, then Stephen Johnson, who is just in the rearview mirror. You can catch a glimpse of him there up in the top right of picture as we ride on board with this McLaren. Now a little bit wide up ahead from Pat Mace there. 4 different manufacturers involved, and so all sorts of different straight line speeds and all sorts going to be happening down the Nottingham next time round as they complete another lap. Oh, that's a bit of a wonky line there from Stephen Johnson, who still 10th, still hovering there in this group of 4. Hernandez looks pretty good as well, just behind Mace.
Yeah, he does. Pat got it a little bit wrong, as did Stephen Johnson. That's brought Hernandez and Mull into this. These guys, you see, literally barely about a second from front to back at the moment. And you're looking at the back end of Dave Mull's car. He's getting closer and closer. Now onto Pat. And you can see the Mull there is really pushing Hernandez at the moment. Hernandez can see him coming and he knows what he's got to do. But the question is, what does he do? Does he hold on? Does he not? Dan Kosick and Matt Green have dropped down from about 4 tenths to just below 2, going back out a little bit. But yeah, Hernandez at the moment, there's the decision coming for him, and I think that's either going to be defend for your life and allow Pat to get away, or let Mull through and go after Pat together.
See what they decide to do here. There might not be much coordination down the back straight this time round. It might be a bit of a free-for-all. Let's see what happens as they also battle here. Warchow versus Pejon. Chase Petterjohn slipped through on the inside line here in the Clyde Carousel. That's for second place in the AM class. Oh, and trying to go around the outside, that was never going to work. Tim Watchout didn't get into the banking at all, and he goes down to third after leading not that long ago. Now then, the actual leader of the AM class maybe doesn't need to make the moves for the buffer over the rest of the AM class, but would like to, as I say, for the extra points. Now then, 4 in a row. What is going to happen here down the back end of the straight? Johnson is probably closest to a move. This, meanwhile, is Dan Cosick coming back through on Matt Green. They've exchanged positions almost every lap so far as the white flag waves. No changes here in this group for 7th place. It's Stephen Johnson who's making most inroads, but even he's not close enough, I don't think, to Dave Mull. By the end of the straight, no, not quite. He can't get through.
No, not this time. For either of these guys, this final lap could be a little bit fiery here because Dan Cosick is not getting away from Matt Green. So Green's going to want to close up on him. We know the Porsche sort of scenario is generally quicker in the corner section, a little bit more stable, but the Mercedes has got the grunt down the straight bit. So seeing how Matt Green's going to handle this now, if he's going to close up, is he going to make a move, which I think he has to do? Or is he going to try and get on the straight, which I don't think is going to help him at all?
No. Well, let's see what they decide to do here. In the 2 battles we've got remaining, really, for 5th place and 7th, a quarter of a minute behind. It's amazing the amount of time they've lost. Those guys further back. Out front, Jason Hightower still leading. He sets another personal best, another not the fastest lap of the race, actually. That goes to Crowrod, who will be wondering what he could have done if he'd have qualified properly. But he extends the lead by another 3.3. It's, oh no! It's all happened already! There's big suspension damage there for Dave Hernandez, who's surely going to have to tow back to pit lane, and he will finish 16th.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, there's been drama. Again, I've marked out, we'll have a look at back at that. Chris Herron's also been off the track before that, so we'll see what went on there. But Mole now he's in front of Pat Messick, which is great. He's got a 15-second gap to Matt Green. That's not going to come down unless Green and Cosick are fighting that much that they end up making a mistake with each other. But currently at the moment, this is going to be an interesting situation because is Pat going to get Mole? Johnson's lost his front end. He's gone through on Pat. Pat's hooked a cone there and is keeping it for company. You see it just tucked under the front. He can't quite shoot it out. That's going to be affecting him massively at the moment for Dave Mull. Oh, there we go. The cone's gone off down the middle of the road.
Well, that is a shame.
Yeah, look at that.
Wow. I was not expecting Crowder to be there. But, well, I've probably underestimated his speed. And as I mentioned earlier, Hightower doesn't have the fastest lap because Crowder's got it. So I wonder whether, we've, all right, certainly I've been underestimating his speed. And Corey Stas has got a huge job to keep him behind now on the last lap of the race. Oh, dear. Defends into Arenberg. This is going to be a big task for Corey Stas. I'm not sure he is going to hold him back.
I don't know, you know. The speed of Krautfeld this afternoon has been absolutely a barnstormer. We weren't expecting him to get anywhere near Stas. He shouldn't have got anywhere near Stas, but he is just... I do wonder where he would have been if he'd qualified properly. I'll tell you what, at the moment, he's gained 9 places. And now this is another battle that's looming. Look at this with Pat Meach and Stephen Johnson. Then nose to tail going down into Arenberg as well. There's a couple of battles to keep an eye on here because I don't think Cosick's battle's done either. Johnson's on the grass. Pat's got to go through now. He's got to take that opportunity Johnson just gave him. They're going to try and run side by side down the hill. I think Johnson's got to be smart here because he slots in behind that left-hander is no good for anyone. But that lead battle, Corey's second place battle, Stas and Krautfeld, well, that's going to be fire on the final lap.
It certainly is, and is it going to be settled before they get to the back straight on this last lap, or are we going to see it go right down to the line? Cosick and Green are going to have a run to the line as well for 5th place, I would imagine, because they've swapped places every time down that back straight again. Corey Stas nice and careful in towards Verstappen. You get the feeling that Crowder might have been able to go quicker if he was on his own, and well, he certainly can. Look at this, he's looking on the way towards Exmuller. Oh, and Stas has to defend. He will pull back to the racing line in time for the left-hander of Exmuller, but this is, Krautwald putting on a lot of pressure here. And surely he's going to want to get through as quickly as possible. If he does get through before that final sector, surely there's no way Corey Stas keeps up.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Through the left-hander we go on the run down into Bergveld now. Krautwald tucked him right behind Stas. He's literally up as close as he could possibly get. Stas did get a good run out of Bergveld, mind you. Krautwald not so much, but it's going to bring the draft in. 2.7, we said about 2.6, 2.5. It's going to go really rapid. Once we get to that, if we can get to that 2.5 mark, that BMW has got some grunt now. Whether or not it's got enough grunt to stay ahead of the Mercedes, well, we're going to find out for the next half of the lap.
Certainly are. I think the Mercedes is going to struggle to get past, to be honest, up the top of the hill. And indeed, it does not. So I'd imagine that's going to be a similar story for Chase Petterjohn and Stephen Johnson. They're just coming towards Bergveld at the moment as well, just out of Exmuller. Actually, as Krautwald has a little look again. Ooh. Coming towards the Starstrecker they go. This is Green and Kosick. I think Green will want to stay behind here because he's got a better chance of coming through on the back straight itself. Pat May's still in 8th position. If he gets overtaken here, then that might be pleasing to the AM guys because they will start to gain points on Scott Sadler in that case, but nothing at the top of the hill here. And how's that damage going to affect Stephen Johnson as well is the big question.
Well, apart from keeping his feet cool, ain't doing a lot else, is it? Let's be real about it. He's lost the front end of the whole engine, blinking radiator in front of that, and at the moment, he ain't got nothing to help cover it up. So he's going to be like basically a wind block going down there, and that's about it. The wind's going to smack that, and there's no aerodynamics to put it over the top of the car. So we're going to find out how this is going to keep going. But Stas and Krautwald just not leaving each other alone. And for this next run at the moment, it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Through the right-hander they're going to go is Wipperman, Brunchen, Eskerver, Flansgarden, and down into Galgenkopf. This could be an interesting run now. If Stas can hold this, I do wonder whether or not he's going to hold this place.
Absolutely. I don't think he will, but the one thing going in his favour is that the BMW does seem to have better straight line speed than the Mercedes. So, it's a good chance. And there, look at that. Krautwald tries to look at the inside at a very unusual corner, and now he's going to do it on the way towards Flansgarden. He knows that the back straight itself might not be the best chance, and so he's trying to get in front before. Inside line again at Flansgarden. He's not going to do it there. He is looking at every corner at the moment.
Yeah, I don't really know what's best for Krautwald here. I think I would leave it until the run down the Dottinger unless he really relies on the fact that that BMW has got some grunt, and he is not going to get there. And that's the problem. Hightower's coming in through Kleins now. Is going to be going into Galgenkopf very shortly. But now Krautwald, don't. It's putting him under pressure.
Change for the AM lead, actually, as Chase Petterjohn gets ahead of Stephen Johnson towards the end. I think Petterjohn's going to take this because Johnson's damage surely is going to hold him back on this last lap. Meanwhile, and he's going to he's going to win the place back. I don't know. We'll look back at them when they're coming to the line in about 30
Chase
seconds' time. Yeah, that is Chase Petterjohn in the wall. Again, something to look at later as Krautwald goes through. Has he gone through too early here in the Mercedes? Because Stas is going to be able to pull in here in the BMW and or is he even going to have to pull alongside? Maybe he doesn't even have to get into the slipstream. The BMW is going to overturn the deficit in the straight line speed stakes there, and he's going to get straight back through again. Here comes Krautwald side drafting again on the straight, but Stas stays in front. A great bit of defending from Corey Stas as further out front, Jason Hightower takes his first race victory of the season. It's taken him 5 rounds to do it, but it is the only first round he's been at. So Jason Hightower takes the victory in the GT4's, and Corey Stas holds on to second. The BMW there was strong in a straight line, and it holds Corey Stas's second place.
Too early. He was too early going down that back straight. I think that's the problem there, as we've got Dean Diltz coming over the line for 4th. Dan Kosick is going to take 5th place with Matt Green tucked in behind. Dave Moll stayed ahead of Pat, and down into Tiergarten he goes. He's going to carry on through there as well. But Matt Van Horn and Anthony Solomon both got a long while to go yet before they get over the line. But we'll be able to bring you up the results on that one. But yeah, great run from all of these guys at this moment in time. And basically, we say it every week. You survived Nord, and that's all that matters.
Who's that just dropping? Oh, there's something weird just going on with the order. It's fine.
No, watch out. Yeah,
no, watch out. Yeah, he's jumping around. He's confusing me. But it's Stephen Johnson who takes the win anyway in the AM class. Header, watch out. And Petterjohn, what is going on as they go over the line there? Got no idea. Chase Petterjohn ends the race, though, with no front end. So does Stephen Johnson. It was a busy race in the AM class, and a lot of the replays are going to be from those guys, I would imagine.
Yeah, Chris Heron comes over the line as well. Then we've got John Amico in behind that one as he comes over the line at the same time. So, yeah, I'll have a look back and see if we can find some of what's went on with the guys at the back there. But here are the final results.
It is Jason Hightower who takes the victory by 10 seconds in the end. Corey Stas and Evan Crowder battle to the line, but it's Stas who takes second. Dean Diltz was rather lonely in fourth place. Dan Cosick held off Matt Green on the last lap there to finish fifth, ahead of Dave Mull and Pat Mays, the last of the pros. It was Stephen Johnson who got the AM win in the end, ahead of Tim Watchow and Chase Petterjohn on the podium. Christopher Heron was 12th, ahead of John Amico and Dave Hernandez in the next to the pros. He dropped down on the last lap, as we're about to see. Matt Van Houten dropped away on the first lap, with Anthony Solomon starting from pit lane. Still finished 16th. Guillermo Perez was the only one not to get to the finish. And he finished 4 laps down. Didn't even do a lap. So, let's have a look at the highlights, and indeed the incidents that have gone on. Starting with turn 1, lap 1, actually. Evan Crowder diving through the middle there. John Amico on the outside line. I think it's just going to be going slowly, along with Chase Petterjohn. But they all made it through turn 1 this time round.
Yeah, that was a great job, but one man didn't make it much further than that. Was Matt Van Horn. Quite sure what you're going to say. Oh, curb, look at that. Big snap,
wow.
Bang. And
He's
around
lucky
it
to
goes.
be avoided by everybody there as well. Wow. That was big contact with the wall.
Yeah, Guillermo Perez incident, when we saw him going a bit limp and sideways. Oh, dude, you're already out of control here. Oh, bro, you should have given that time to car. Oh, mate, he did not settle that car. Just, you got to look at the run. Even coming into here, he's out of control there. And that's it, the back end's already loose, and he hasn't given it time to settle again. And a big snap. That car just gripped up and went, thanks very much. Have some of that, son. So, yeah, not good. And this was Heron and Johnson, I think, possibly Johnson's dive.
That is pretty rude on Christopher Heron.
Pretty rude.
Johnson might end up in trouble with that after the race, I've got to say, because that was a pretty aggressive dive down the inside, and it did not come off at all.
Yeah, this is the incident with Tim Watchow. Remember, we lost 2 places and we couldn't... There we go. That's how he lost 2 places, going cutting the corner and getting a slowdown.
Yeah, just went a bit too deep into the chicane and jumped across the inside. So Watchow dropped down to second in AM at the time, and then he dropped further because as Chase Petterjohn went down his inside, he, tried to go around the outside, and when you've got no banking, you're never going to manage it. He did a good job, actually, to not find the wall there, but that's how he lost second, it was at the time. This is Christopher Heron, just in front of John Amico, and he gets that all wrong in towards turn number 1.
Yeah, he was already... The problem was you saw the back end twitch on braking, and then it was just all done for him. He just gets the brakes, starts hitting the brakes, then the back end sort of has a little bit of a wobble there, and then unfortunately he just cannot slow that down. But yeah, coming up towards the end on the replays is Dave Hernandez's incident as well. Oh, he hit Pat.
Wow. And then gets collected by Johnson.
Yeah, and that could explain how Johnson lost his front end there at the same time. It does. So this is Chase Petterjohn now. I wonder if this is where he lost his front end as well. Oh, absolutely.
Wow. High speed there as well.
Yeah.
That's a big crash. And that's the end of Chase Petterjohn, unfortunately. That's how he ended up finishing third in this race. That's a real shame, because that was the battle for the lead at the time, those 2 cars.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what was going on towards the end here. Watch out past Johnson.
Yeah, but it was all that just weird leaderboard thing.
Yeah, I think that was a lot.
Happened in real life. Yeah.
I think that was it. So there you go. That's the end of that one.
Yeah. And a few replays this time round, maybe a couple more than what you'd expect to see in the GT4's, but nevertheless, it was a good round of the championship, I've got to say. Jason Hightower dominating on his return, which is perhaps no surprise, but the battle for the AM win was very exciting today, and we'll see whether Stephen Johnson gets to keep the win, because that move, especially on Christopher Heron there, was pretty rude in the Mercedes arena.
Yeah, it definitely was. I'll be interested to see what comes out of this, to be blatantly honest. So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting one going into next week, of course. Next week, LMP1's, Mr. O'Leary.
I am looking forward to that round more than any other, I think. In terms of racing, the cars like mini stocks and MX5s and Skippies are going to be way better, but the LMP ones around here are going to be mind-boggling. So I'm very much looking forward to that. We're on the long layout for the first time since the HPDs in week 2. So very much hope you can join us for that. It's going to be a very exciting evening of racing. I've been Neil O'Leary alongside Jez Parfitt. Until we see you for that LMP1 round in a week's time, it's goodbye for now.